Welcome to this episode of the Outsiders Podcast. If you're not following us yet, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you're out there. Probably saying something that gets us in trouble. Want to support the show? Head to outsidersstudios.com. You'll find membership options, merch, and more ways to stay connected to what we're building. Elect Exiles, Brett's podcast, solid theology, clear thinking, worth your time. Branden's Substack drops twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. It's where he works out what doesn't always fit in an episode. We've got a lot in the pipeline. Stay tuned, and as always, thanks for listening.
Welcome to Outsiders Podcast. I am your host, Count Dracula.
The accent just
and
left.
To my left,
Bryce Armstrong, and to my actual left.
Oh, yeah, weird.
It is weird.
Andrew McKinley with a cold. And to my left.
All I can think about is what's my favorite cereal.
Count Chocula.
Yeah, that's all I heard.
Blah,
when you said
blah,
that.
blah.
Brett Welty to my left.
Jim Cole.
Here we are. I'm not Count Dracula, but
You're
I am the character Branden Woodall.
You are Mr. Brand-Aid.
Yes, I am a character.
You are
This is
for sure a character.
this is me. I only talk like a vampire right now because it's almost Halloween. So I thought it would be a good theme for me.
Oh, okay. This episode is going to come out a lot later than
I know.
Halloween. We've already, okay.
But they don't know.
Oh, that's true. I mean, they do.
I will.
They will.
They'll know
'cause-
when we recorded this.
Oh, okay.
A week before Halloween.
They call that a timestamp.
Is it a week? Oh my gosh, it is a week.
My favorite holiday.
Time to get spooky.
I like the spooky. Ooh.
People can't see your face. That's the problem.
That's fine. I got a face for radio.
He's got a
Yeah.
spooky face.
I have a mask on right now.
It's not true. He's
But
not.
I am in character.
He's not Antifa tonight either.
We're
so
working so hard to get past that hour and a half of recorded time right now.
don't worry. I can cut it out.
All I'm saying.
Anything that you say, I'll cut out.
Okay.
There's just a long
even,
blank.
even if people respond to
Like,
it, it's
what's going on here? Yes, but I want everyone to know that I am a character. I am a meme, as Vermin Supreme would say.
oh my gosh.
So just so you know, if you meet me out in the wild, I'm not approachable.
But you can try to catch him in a Pokeball.
You could try. I do cosplay as Pikachu.
Oh.
Why
Well, why not? That's how you get friends.
is it?
Maybe.
Are you okay? Like,
Hey, Andrew.
How's it going?
I'm all right.
If this went any longer, I would just ask that you tell Jim and I to come 10 minutes late. You're going to start talking about Pikachu and cosplay. Just give us 10 and we'll show up.
I'm uncomfortable.
you got to go to the bathroom.
So I have to pee. Andrew, do you have something
I got something for us. Yeah. I have a new segment to throw at Bryce without a new warning.
Thank you.
Hold on. Is it a game?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Kind of not.
Here's your wonderful, wonderful theme song.
I don't know if it fits for this
Don't
one.
care.
And we're back.
Cool.
Sizzle.
Welcome.
Hey, all right. Super long theme song. So, today we're going to flex our debating muscles a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Great at
And
that.
I'm going to split you guys into teams
Oh,
without any
no.
preparation. And we're going to discuss conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah, let's go. That's my favorite.
In a new game that I'm calling Obviously This Is True. So I think
Thank
our
you.
teams we're gonna kind of split up the age gaps a little bit. So we're gonna do Branden and Brett, and we're gonna do Bryce and Jim.
But hold on, what if we don't agree?
Even
I don't
cooler.
care. Haven't you ever seen like debate in high school? You don't necessarily agree with the topic you're arguing for.
I hate this.
Good. Then
You're
my job is complete.
All right. Well,
It's going to be great.
So I guess I'm going to give you guys an option.
okay.
Because the first one we've already kind of prepared for because we've all discussed this in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Are birds real? So we can talk about that. Or the other option is is not brand new to the world, but brand new to us talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is in 2021, did the government manufacture fake snow for Texas?
Well,
Or, hear me out.
Or was it Bill Gates?
It's always Bill Gates.
Or, hear me out. Are there vampires in outer space?
Oh my gosh. Sometimes
Because if you look through a telescope, that's all mirrors, and you can't see a vampire's reflection with the mirrors. So there's vampires in outer space.
We'll never know.
we'll never
Exactly.
You
know.
can't disprove a negative.
Exactly.
That's debate 101.
But anyways, sorry.
So let's not do the vampires
Okay.
because we'll be here forever.
You're right.
And Bryce
So
has
will
to edit
vampires.
this. So
What?
vampires.
So
That's
will
You
okay.
can't
vampires.
Okay, I don't understand that. You can't disprove a negative. I mean, like, the cupboard is empty. Is that a negative?
I think it's more like to say something doesn't exist. You can't disprove that is a thing. I'm not exactly sure how it goes.
You can't prove nothing.
Yeah, basically.
You don't know.
Anyway,
We point at Bud, Champ.
nothing.
Okay, so how are we going to do this?
all right. So first off, would you like to go the more like comfortable and familiar birds topic, or should we go with the fake snow? I have some information for
Okay,
you.
fake
either
snow
They're
then.
both new to me. So.
Fake, fake snow then.
I've been doing
Let's
the
go
bird
fake
thing
snow.
for a long time.
So the only way you can
All
prove
right.
the bird thing is if you take a bird, pull it apart, and find all the wires. And
I mean, the government shut down and the birds disappeared. So
Yeah, I haven't seen any in
you're right.
months.
You know what? You're right.
just saying. People think we're serious.
And why? And, you know, and why? And why? Because we don't believe in the birds. Why do they keep pooping on our cars? It's the
Tracking.
government.
It's called tracking.
Yeah, it's the government.
All
Oh,
right.
LoJack. Okay, let's
All
do
right,
the let's do the
let's
sound.
do fake snow.
Fake
All right.
snow.
Okay.
So in February of 2021, several videos surfaced of people taking snowballs from unexpected snowfall in Texas, where it's not normal to have. They would take these snowballs and they'd hold a lighter up to them, and instead of the snow melting and dripping away, it would just kind of harden and scorch like black marks. And
And this is pre-AI.
so that's
Okay, that's not true. That's also Photoshop is real. Have you ever watched a movie?
What?
Let's
so
see.
as far as we can tell, the videos were not faked. They were real videos. So I think we're gonna put Brett and Brandon on the side of obviously this is true.
Yes.
And we're gonna put Jim and Bryce on the obviously this is fake.
Yeah, I'm already skeptical, so it's fine.
All right.
I'm
so
really bad at debate. So.
I'll tell you that several. It wasn't. There was like one video that kind of started it, and then several other people were like, "Oh yeah, we saw this too," and they started showing them. So it was always just like a cigarette lighter, and they had a ball of snow. They'd hold it up, and every time, same thing. It would melt, but not like water melts. Kind of, it would kind of harden, and then it would start to scorch black.
So first point I like to make is that the internet is always super reliable,
Yes.
Right.
well,
and I don't know why, if we've seen it on the internet, why we even need to have this debate.
You're right.
Boom, roasted.
And we know that the government's been caught cloud seeding in other places.
That's true.
Now, but is that fake snow or is that real, just man-made snow?
Okay.
I think we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fake snow.
So, I haven't seen any on the ground yet.
All right.
where is it?
But-
Where's the proof?
I mean, if you only have a snowball, I mean, you could do that, in your fridge, grab some
true.
frost.
All
That's
right.
true.
All right. So let's continue with some more information to provide for you guys.
Oh gosh.
Perfect.
So,
Love it.
Phil-
I think my first point won. I think if we're going points,
I would have to completely disagree. With
I saw it on my Reddit page.
as of now, I feel like obviously this is true. This is where I'm leaning right now.
Oh, okay.
So Phil Plait, noted astronomer and scientist, tried to debunk the videos by saying that yes, when you hold a lighter up to a snowball, it melts, but the water doesn't drip away because snow is porous, and so it soaks the water back in like a sponge.
False.
No, this is good for us.
That's
You need to
good.
pay
That's good
attention.
for you. You need that.
Meaning that it is normal when you hold a lighter up to a snowball for it to not drip and not look like it's melting, even though it is melting.
Yeah, for like a minute,
And then
10
the
seconds.
scorch
Yeah,
marks,
not even.
the scorch marks that appear are because they were using butane lighters.
All of them?
Every,
I'm sorry.
every that was really loud. Bryce is ready to fight.
This is just making me angry.
You're also
You're terrible. You're terrible at
fighting on the
debate. You
wrong
gotta
side,
enjoy-
Bryce. You're supposed to be debunking. Here's
Yeah,
the-
that's what I'm saying. They're
Yeah.
all. That's a lie. Oh, because wait, what?
you're supposed to be saying that the videos are untrue.
Yeah, I know.
So this is supposed to be supporting your side of the argument.
How? He's saying it's possible for real snow. Oh, 'cause
What
it
he's
was
saying
real
is
snow.
that the scorch marks are not like plastic in the snow, which is what people were saying.
Listen,
They were instead saying that when you burn butane, the molecules separate in a way that the carbon can often form into long strands, which is what we see as soot. And so it's not scorched plastic; it is soot forming on the surface of the snowball.
by the way, this is all stupid.
I don't agree with you at all.
Exactly.
All right.
I think the people want to know how we can prove that this is actually the government. So just relax.
Everything's the government.
Not outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Is it?
They,
Is it?
they have UFOs, right?
Oh gosh.
And they,
I heard
They-
there's a UFO bus stop right outside the Milky Way.
yeah. You're right.
Agent of chaos.
You're right. And I'm just saying, they're probably advanced engineering, and so they can control the weather because they want.
For the record,
Because they want-
Brandon's about to say something that made him laugh before he could say it.
Because you know that they're just going after red states. You know it's true.
They snowed on Texas.
Yeah. Because that's when the power grid went down, bro.
It snowed on. Well, that's true. It did go down.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
so they snowed on Texas.
Because they don't like red states.
Wow.
Because the deep state, you know.
The problem is I actually have an argument that I
I think I
not
put
the red state thing, but like partially agree with you.
I put Bryce on the wrong side of this one. I think.
You did, because I have no desire
Jim.
to fight. To fight for the validity of this argument. I have zero desire.
You know it's true.
Oh.
All right,
This is great debate. You know it's true.
Last point of fact. Let's discuss.
Why am I so stupid?
Who do
Well-
we think benefits more from this? The government and the deep state, or the money? Bill Gates and the secret covenant of people running. The
They're all
planet.
together.
They're all the same.
No, they're not.
I don't believe you. So
And now the real
No.
debate begins.
no. Who do you? Where do you think Bill Gates is benefiting from?
He's got farmland, bro.
He's allowed to do whatever the heck he wants.
That's true.
All I have to say is China. We're just going to say nonsense.
China. The Kung
Who
Flu.
Who owns the most farmland? Bill Gates.
China.
Who sold
China.
it to him? The
China.
government.
China.
So there.
All right.
So the only thing we've really
Right
learned
on.
is that the person at the table most likely to believe in a conspiracy theory is Bryce Armstrong.
I love conspiracy theories. They're my favorite.
Oh, I hate them.
They're so fun to just deep dive into the crazies.
So I think we can officially say to end this segment. Obviously, this is real. The end.
Oh, man.
End of segment.
Just know, dear listener, we cut out so much nonsense.
We did.
You're welcome.
We love talking. And that's why we do this podcast.
Mm.
Because we love to talk. Right? Well, I do. We are Still in the parables. And we're talking about the parable of the sower. A lot of people know this one. But Andrew, would you read our scripture for the night?
I would.
No nose, though.
Hmm?
No nose.
No nose?
No nose.
Cinematic.
Cinematic. No nose.
What does that mean?
I don't know. No nose.
It means he wants me to say it like this.
Yes.
Oh, please don't.
All right. So we're reading Matthew 13, verses 1 through 9. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat beside the sea, and great crowds gathered about him, so that he got into a boat and sat down. And the whole crowd stood on the beach, and he told them many things in parables, saying, A sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground, where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they had no root, they withered away. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil and produced grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears, let him hear.
So let's jump into the four soils and then start to explain them and kind of talk. And what's the word? Pontificate. We should make a t-shirt with that. I should make more t-shirts.
Yep.
I just haven't gotten to it. You know, busy boy over here. That's for Brett. That's exactly right. Yep. So the wayside. So this is the hard heart. So this is the path where people walk. So it's packed down, it's trampled, and it's unyielding. So the seed can't enter that soil. This is the heart that is hardened by pride, cynicism, or apathy. So the word lands, but it never penetrates the soul or the heart. So it is quickly stolen by the enemy. William Tyndale says the truth of God is a sharp sword, but where the heart is as a stone, the blow rebounds. So Tyndale reminds us that the gospel's power is not lessened, but the soil determines its reach. So a heart that refuses humility resists transformation. Pontificate, my
Thank you.
You're welcome. Great transition.
I think it shouldn't go unnoticed that with that soil, it's the evil one that snatches it up. I think it gets missed whenever I look at it. A sower went out and he sowed, and immediately when it happens, he says, "Oh, where is that? It's over there." When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in his heart. So there's a real, concern that spiritual things will be snatched up by the evil one. When our hearts are stony, it's not even just our own hearts that don't penetrate it, but then there's also a snatching that comes from the evil one. So there's a lot to think about there. Like what does that mean? Does that mean every unbeliever has had it snatched? I don't think that's what Jesus is saying, but it's still something. It's a spiritual problem. It's not just a knowledge problem. It's not just I didn't hear it right, or the person speaking didn't say it right. I think it basically means it's a spiritual problem. The problem is deeper than just I didn't understand everything you said this time. It's a spiritual battle for the word to take root.
It means Satan's playing defense a little bit, for lack of a better term. I don't know. Like, not necessarily that like he has the power to do anything outside of God's will, but that he is still a potential threat that needs to be taken seriously, not to be feared as someone that could overpower or undermine God, but just as a real problem.
Seems like he's waiting on the sideline just for you to snatch somebody up, because he's being active and watching what's going on. But I find it interesting because we do live in a more over spiritualized world right now, but we don't acknowledge people don't want to acknowledge God, or they don't want to acknowledge the devil. But we're in a spiritual world.
Yeah.
So how do we navigate talking about things that people you would think people would actually believe, or how do you talk to the Christian that doesn't necessarily comprehend a spiritual battle going on for our souls?
That's a good question. And I think that we have this materialistic worldview that says I only believe what I see. I only believe what I can test. I only believe what I can put through the scientific method. But in reality, so much of this life is not seen. It's not even overtly spiritual things. There's just explain to me how oxygen works. Explain to me how you convert CO2 to oxygen. I'm sure there's smart people that can do that. I don't know how that works. I can't see it.
Gravity.
Gravity. How does gravity work? So there's just so many things that are not seen with the naked eye, and yet that becomes the benchmark in which everything has to be able to get over. If I can't see it, I can't believe it. And yet we believe countless things we never see. And so I think when we talk about this with especially unbelievers, that's I think the hard part. The hard part is these things are not, the wise of this world do not gather it. The wisdom of this world and all of its efforts could not find Christ. That's 1 Corinthians 1.
Yeah. I think that's why the gospel offends before it transforms, though.
Well, just think about the gospel. I mean,
Yeah.
What is the gospel? Like, a God man 2,000 years ago lived, was killed, and then a few 500 people saw him alive again, and that's your message? That's what you're going to tell me is going to change the world?
Yep.
Well, what to the unbeliever, it's foolishness.
Right.
Right.
It's very easy to see why it would be foolish.
I don't think we have to. I don't think we need to worry about that or should worry about
No.
that because there's nothing we can do about that.
That's true.
I think of the audience that hears him say this, right? And if I'm in the audience, even if I'm an unbeliever, I'm not going to want to think that I am so hard that I'm unwilling to maybe grab a hold of a few bits and maybe think them through a little bit, But so it's almost a challenge at this point in time. Like Jesus is throwing out the gauntlet. Are you that hard that you would not even think about it?
What does somebody that looks like that look like today? I mean, is that like an atheist? Is that what we would consider stony soil at this point?
The hardened path.
Yeah. What would that look like?
There's atheists, there's Satanists, there's
Yeah,
witches, warlocks.
I've had a lot of conversations with the atheist and the witch and just different backgrounds that you would call unbelievers, and I've never found anybody that didn't have an interest in spiritual things.
I think everyone has an interest in spiritual things.
Yeah.
Because it's super interesting to think about and talk about, but which side are they leaning towards? Because I've heard a lot of stories about people that live in the dark side and they're given some power, and I've never seen it, I've never experienced it, I don't understand it, but like they're telling stories like they're able to see into people's homes and like mess with them mentally, and it's just some of the stories are crazy. Are they true? I have no idea. But the spiritual world is very real, and why wouldn't the devil use people to try and do that crap? Why not?
I think you would. I think a passage like this kind of implies that Satan is omnipresent, and he's not. He
Right.
can only be in one place at a time.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so, but there is his hordes, his 1/3 of the angels that have fell with him. I think he spends a lot more time in different ways. But that's not this topic. But point being is that there is this spiritual power that's there to sweep away those seeds.
Yep.
And the question arises: Are you that hard that you're unwilling to consider?
Do you think it's hard in your own lives to see things as spiritual? And what I mean is, if me and Bryce, because I always use Branden as an example, if me and Bryce are beefing, that is, I think, ultimately a spiritual issue, not necessarily just a personality issue. And do you guys have a hard time seeing stuff that way? Because I always look at stuff and I'm like, okay, that's just the circumstances are, we misunderstood each other on a text, and I'm offended. I look at all the logistics of it, all of the pieces of it. I say, this isn't a spiritual problem. This is a logistical problem. This is a conversational problem, personality problem. But I think Ephesians 6 would tell us that we don't fight against flesh and blood, but we fight against spiritual and principalities. And so I think in a very real way, two brothers in Christ unable to reconcile is a spiritual battle.
I agree.
So do we see everything as a spiritual battle? Or is there a time when I would say, okay, this was a spiritual thing, but the last time it was just a conversational thing? Or is every time there's friction a sin thing? How do we categorize this stuff so you know what we're looking at?
I mean, isn't most friction sin?
I would say probably most.
We're
sin.
sinful beings, and is
Mm-hmm.
you just said it. It's not a battle between flesh and blood.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that does imply everything, and that's not how we fight. That's not how we argue. We argue as I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to win this argument. Most people, not everyone, obviously, but it feels like it is a spiritual battle. But obviously, the devil uses anything he possibly can to distract us from that fact.
Yeah. I think there's a spiritual element somehow, some way. In the moment, I'm often off guard and get lost in the physical and the tension and forget about the spiritual. But I remember a time complaining to God, and I've complained to him often, right? And this particular time, and it seems like every time I complain, I get this word that says, well, what's your responsibility in this? And I'm like, God, why does it always have to be somehow my responsibility? And the reality is we always have a responsibility in it. So that makes it a spiritual issue, like every time. Like, how do I respond to this person, even though I'm totally right and they're totally wrong? How do I respond to this person in a way that God would want me to respond to this person?
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
No. I'm not
I
either.
think it can also be said that if you're at odds with somebody, like Bryce, what you were, I think, getting at is that there's at least a small level of sin there, because you're at this point believing that you deserve to be treated better than you're being treated.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pride.
which is a little bit of pride, a little bit of selfishness.
Because we deserve nothing.
Even on like we're never. We got to remember that, like, we're never bringing enough good to the table that we deserve a good day and we deserve to be treated better.
Yeah.
We're still kind of garbage, as far as we're all sinners. But if people are harassing you today, you still probably got off better than you deserved.
Yeah.
That's what you deserve is wrath. That's what we all deserve, and so we're probably doing okay. I think if you can come with that mindset, that might help a little bit. When you are at odds with someone, try to remember, oh yeah, that's right, I'm not great either. And that can help, I think.
I think I wanted to answer is like you have to be discerned on the situation, but after listening to you guys, I think the devil wants to do whatever he can to divide us, and so just a slight offense can snowball into a giant conflict. So I would think that would be spiritual, especially between brothers and sisters in Christ. I mean, like I said, he wants us to be divided.
Yeah.
Because when we're united together, we have a purpose. We have clarity of like what we should be keeping our eyes on. And that's Christ, right? Not the silly things that we argue about.
Yeah, and there's things in the world that we don't like. We see them as Christians, and we wish they didn't exist, and we want to speak into that. And sometimes we let that get in the way, and that creates a division. So in other words, the word then doesn't get cast out into the field or a hard path or the stony path. There's a division between us and the rest of the world often.
That's the last thing I'll read, then we can go on. Let no one say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one, but each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire. Then desire, when it has conceived, gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. So not only can the devil throw things and wrenches into our circumstances, but even our own flesh and our own desires sell us out. And so I think even if there's no direct demonic involvement in this alleged beef between me and Bryce, just my own sinful desires and my own sinful desire to want my own way and want my own pride and ego to be wrapped up in this, even that alone is a spiritual battle. So I think even if we're not fighting the darknesses of this world, we're fighting the darkness of our own heart, which will always be part of us until the Lord brings us home. So we got to get moving. That's only one. That's only one of the four. And the next one's next two are nuts.
I know. So point number 2, the stony places, which would be a shallow heart. So the soil is thin here, soft on the surface, but resting on rock beneath. The seed springs up quickly, but there's no roots. So when trials come, our faith would wither. Jesus says this is the person who receives the word with joy, yet has no depth. Their faith depends on comfort and not conviction. John Knox says, where there is no cross, there is no Christ. So Knox's words pierce straight through. True discipleship is not built on enthusiasm, but endurance. The rocky soil must be broken before real faith can take root.
Yeah, this one hits pretty close to home because I've seen people, and I've obviously been there myself. I've talked about it quite a bit, where it starts out super strong, emotional, and exciting, but then real life hits and my faith crumbles because I'm leaning on my own understanding and not the Lord's. Luke 9:23 says, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily." The shallow heart doesn't want the cross part
because the cross requires some death in us.
Yep.
To be fully bought into the ways of Christ.
I would even say when he describes it, that it's trials and tribulations, persecutions that arise, and immediately he falls away. So it's also, Christ isn't enough. It's not worth it. This was fun for a time. This was enjoyable. This was a good group to hang out with. This was a fun place. This was a little good for my kids or a little good for my marriage, but it just got too hard. Just didn't get worth it. And I think I think anytime you see churches shrink, anytime you hear statistics that the church is shrinking in any country in America, it's this. It's the shallow, the ones who said, this gains me something, so I'll stay. They're going to be the ones that go. There's not enough in Christianity without Christ to keep you in it. It's just not enough there.
You know, the gospel is a phenomenal message, right? This life, this salvation, this God, this heavenly Father that loves me and accepts me, and I step into that thinking that this is it, right? And then the trials come, and I bail. And I want the emotional high, and I think there's a lot of people chasing the emotional high, and this happened to be just another emotional high in their life, and then they're out.
We had our young adult group last night. We're working our way through the Sermon on the Mount. I wanted to make sure that I was clear on who Jesus was talking to. He's talking to disciples, because there's going to be a lot of people that are in the crowd that are making noise, that seem like they're there, but in the end, they all run off. Because if you know the Sermon on the Mount, it's upside down, and there's a lot of personal death that you have to have, and you have to go through to follow step in the ways of Christ. And I think when push comes to shove, a lot of people will flake out. Because, I mean, they were, like you said, they were there for a moment, not for a life. And life gets hard. And there's good, high moments in our spiritual walk, but there's a lot more low moments that we've got to grapple with. If, like you said, if we're just chasing a high, we're never going to be satisfied.
Yeah, that's why emotion isn't the same thing as endurance. Real faith is going to survive heat because it has roots.
I don't think this speaks to that stumbling. In other words,
No,
not at all.
you know,
Let's make a category distinction. I think this person is not a believer. This is not somebody that I think this is somebody who never put their. I think the only soil that Jesus is talking about that has belief is the fourth soil.
yes.
I think this is not stumbling, falling. This is not like you like to say. I fell down 7 times. I got up 8. I don't think this is that. I think this is categorically different. I think this is. I was there for a time, and I am gone.
I think this is the soil that kind of becomes the false security of like the prosperity gospel.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
this is the idea that a strong faith makes a comfortable life, makes a life full of intrinsic value. Is that the right time to use that word? Or
Let's try it.
intrinsic? Okay,
Keep
yeah.
going.
So,
Sure.
but I mean values that are earthly. So, money, health, happiness.
Stability.
Yeah. So this is the soil where that seems to thrive for a moment. In a situation like that, when something bad happens, it just wrecks your faith because you've been told your faith is giving you blessings. And so obviously if you've gotten sick or if you lost your job and you aren't going to be able to pay every bill this month, that means your faith is weak. And you don't remember your faith being weak. You thought you were putting it in the right thing, So that's why the prosperity gospel isn't just like bad Christianity. It's not.
It's
It's a trap.
it's
Yeah.
it's devilish. Because it reminds me of when Jesus stood over on the mountain in the 40 days in the desert, and the devil said, "I'll give you all this if you just bow down to me." And how many people in pews and chairs are bowing down to the things of this world, like riches and status?
Hang on, man. That's the next soil.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, how many people are doing that because they've been taught that if you sow this seed into this person or this ministry, that you're going to get something back for it, instead of just being generous because Christ asked you to be that for other people, right?
Mhm.
To give what you have been given because it's free, it's a gift, it's not yours anyways. So we give it away. That's why I think the prosperity gospel is so like devious and hellish, and you should not follow it because there's no truth in it.
And it's not even true to reality.
No.
I mean, this soil shows you this life is going to be hard. And again, a Christless Christianity is not worth following. There's nothing in it. If you think you're going to get, again, we can even go less insidious. We could think, okay, let's take the prosperity message off of the table. Let's just say it's the 1940s and you want to sell life insurance in South Carolina. It gains you social capital to be a member of a Baptist church or a church in that town. It's the same thing. There's no commitment there. It actually just gives you earthly benefit. If I want to sell life insurance in this town, I've got to look like a good dude. You look like a good dude by being in church on Sunday. That's what this is. And then when it gets too hard, when it no longer makes sense for your business or your personal worldly connections to continue with Christ, or more specifically in this case with the church or with this social club or with this group, you're out. You bounce. It's too hard. It ain't worth it. I'm not paying that price. And Jesus even says, count the cost. Count the cost. This is going to cost you something. It's going to cost you yourself. You're going to die to yourself and die to everything. And you might have a good life. You might have a hard life, but you'll have a great life if you have Christ. And again, you don't have that. Without Christ, this makes no sense.
Well, the rich young ruler walked away sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we're talking about prosperity and we're talking about that category, you're going to walk away sad when you actually have to commit.
Go to the third soil.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that, because that's about. So if the second soil is trials choking you out,
Yeah.
the third soil is the good things of this life drowning it out.
Yeah. So the third soil would be among the thorns. So the soil is fertile, almost too fertile. Both grain and thorns grow here. Jesus says the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, making it unfruitful. The divided heart tries to serve both kingdoms, It loves God and the world, but the world always wins that tug of war. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, one of my favorite voices, says the most dangerous temptation is not that which overtly denies God, but that which uses him for one's own ends. Bonhoeffer saw it clearly. Many hear God's word, but twist it to justify comfort, ambition, or control. Faith cannot grow in a heart consumed by self. Can I say that again? Faith cannot grow in a heart consumed by self.
Literally. I mean, it's the walking after Christ is the dying to self. That can't have both.
Nope. Bonhoeffer said the same thing. When Christ calls a man, he bids him come and die.
Yes.
Look what Bonhoeffer went through. He was in the freaking concentration camp in World War II because he went to try to kill Hitler, and he died for his faith. And he was trying to be opposite of what all of the different pastors and priests in Germany were conforming to, and it cost him. So, like you said earlier, Brett, count the cost. You're gonna have to, because real commitment means you're in or you're out. There's no in between here. Go ahead.
I think it's interesting that the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches are in the same category. It's the same soil. Like riches are not a blessing. It's really fascinating what like the Bible actually calls blessing and what we would think blessings are. And this is just a really good example of Christ never says that monetary gain or an easy life are guaranteed or part of this are part of it. You might not. You know, I just think that it's just fascinating, and the more we can die to this idea that our lives are better with more money or more whatever in it, the more again I think we need to find some sort of balance between like. I'm not saying that we all have to be poor or be monks and have nothing. More minimalism would be fine, Brandon. I can concede to that. But also to assume that like the trajectory of our life will always be more money, more prestige, more whatever. Like that's not guaranteed either. And I think too many Christians think, well, I'm on this path and I can either continue to go up and have a good life, or I can make decisions that will put me more in line with Christ, but it could put some of this success, this capital, this stuff, it could cost me something, and I don't think I'm ready to pay that price. So whereas trials force you to pay the price, in this soil, it's almost like you're choosing not to pay the price and keeping what you want. You think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think it'd be a lot easier for me to believe in the Lord if I had this X, Y, or Z. And Jesus just pretty clearly says is like, it'll become an idol before you know it.
It's subtle.
Yeah.
You know, you get a little bit more, start to gather it, collect. Pretty soon you're down the road, and you never knew you were going there.
You ever met a hoarder? That's just a like, isn't that just like a fascinating like, get all you can all you get, keep it all. I mean that to me is this. It's just this weird like I've got to amass. I've got to, like I need to amass it all, and I need to have it all. And if I don't have it all, there's no security. There's no hope. There's no. I just need it. And I think on some level that's this soil. It's just this the cares of this life. Like what if I don't have everything I need? What if COVID happens again and we're out of toilet paper again? Like I'm worried. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Those are the cares that we're talking about.
We all want our kids to have it better than we had, right? And it's natural for us to think that hey, school is going to be an avenue for that. In school, I think education is important. So I don't want to knock education, but I think sometimes we make that more important than God. That's education is what my child needs. Well, your child needs education. But without God, what is the education? Right? We begin to replace God with things like insurance. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
Thorns are sneaky. They grow really slow, one distraction at a time until it strangles your spiritual life. Sometimes it's not obvious sin, but subtle sin that loves to steal your focus.
Well, it's like those micro habits, right?
Yeah.
One little thing, and like that's talked about. Like atomic habits is talked in a positive light. Well, if you're doing small micro sins, they add up, right? It's still sin.
Sin is sin.
Sin is sin,
Yep.
but it's still like you start with this. I'm not going to mention it, and you can ask me after because it's pretty dark. But you do this one little thing, and then you get tired of doing that one little thing, and it gets to something worse.
Always
And
a
then it gets
slope.
something
I understand the
worse.
implication.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Always
saying?
a slope.
I just thought it was a therapy thing.
I think it's interesting that it's easy to read this, and I think some people see the thorns as greed, as going after more, and I think some people see the thorns as worry, as having for security. And I think that it's like interesting that I think if you've sinned in one of those ways, you can probably feel justified because you don't have the other. A little bit. It's
Very
almost like a two sides of a coin thing. But they're both sides of a sinful coin. So it's like,
Yeah.
so I think that was I don't remember if it was in Mere Christianity or Screw Tape Letters, but it was this idea that like I'm really failing at like recalling it, but it had to do with it like there's gluttony in amassing a great amount, wanting more, and then there's gluttony in like storing up security and wanting to put your safety in your own hands by having, basically that, by having storehouses, by saying that I've stored up enough to have a year of plenty and trusting that instead of trusting God to provide. And so I think that it's easy to read this and say, well, I don't worry about needing stuff, so I'm not in these thorns because I'm not worrying. It's like, oh, but you're greedy. you don't worry because you have, because you do whatever you need to have. And so it's just this is one that it's easy to read it and think that's not about me. And we all probably struggle with those thorns a little bit.
Yeah, in that context, I think we all fall in there somewhere and have to figure that out. I think probably this is the place where we get challenged is when it comes to things like tithing. Are we willing to give up that little bit, or do we need it?
Jesus says in Sermon on the Mount that we can't serve both God and wealth. And on top of it being true because Jesus said it, I think that alone is worth noting. Just think about what it would take to amass wealth. Think about the commitment. Think about what it means, the trade-offs you have to make to develop that kind of income. Just from a practical level, looking at what that takes, just says like that's a trade-off that we don't want to make. I think as believers, one of the things that rubbed me. So I used to read books that were success oriented, and one of the books is pretty popular. Maybe you guys ever heard of Think and Grow Rich? Napoleon Hill. It's pretty popular in some circles. He talks about having a definiteness of purpose. And he says, what this is just to take the one thing you want more than anything else in the world and set your mind to it. And set your mind to it every day. And think about it and talk about it and write affirmations about it and drive towards that goal until you achieve it. In that book, that is not God. That is your career. That's the amount of money you want to make. It's whatever you want to be, quote unquote, successful at. And he gives some tacit nod to the deity of the universe, not even the Judeo-Christian God even, but that is what we're talking about here. That's exactly what Jesus is talking about when he says you can't serve God and wealth. If your definiteness of purpose is anything other than God, you're missing it. And you are caring about your security, you're caring about wealth, And we just can't be, I think what you titled it, the divided heart, we can't be that divided. Jesus says you can't serve two masters. It doesn't mean that we can't be successful. It doesn't mean that we can't work diligently. It doesn't mean that we can't potentially make more money than we have bills. I don't think that's the takeaway. I think the takeaway is there are trade-offs if you want to serve wealth that are not good for your soul. If you are diligent and you are successful and you generate good income, that is not the same thing as, in my mind, as pursuing wealth. And I think a divided heart is a heart that will never truly be devoted.
You know, one thing that kind of makes the Christian walk a little bit difficult is that if at work I'm going to live as a Christian, I'm going to live Christ-like. Well, that means I'm going to be honest. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to be a really good employee. And then the potential of being rewarded for that is really, really high. And so now I start gaining those rewards, right? So down the road, do I start thinking that's because of what I did, right? Or is it because of what God did? And we start wrestling with those things. And pretty soon, I'm taking that extra money I make now, and instead of paying the tithe that I wasn't paying, I'm now spending it on other things. And I'm not making that choice. It's kind of like, you said it with what, intentionality? I think probably to say it the same thing in a different way is, what are you chasing? If you're chasing the money, are you chasing the more, or are you chasing Jesus Christ? What's interesting is if you chase Jesus Christ, you may or may not get rich. You may or may not get whatever. Are you okay with that?
He promises to take care of you, doesn't he? That's the next part of Sermon on the Mount. He'll take care of you. Seek first the kingdom.
He doesn't promise prosperity per se. At the tail end of Hebrews, it talks about a group of people, Hebrews 11, of that were some sawed in two, some lived destitute lives. And there's really this group of people that have really had it hard. And then he says, the world is not worthy of these people, because they did it through the difficult times and kept their focus on God.
I think it'd be useful to point out that, Jim, what you said is chasing, and Brett, what you said is definiteness of purpose. That's all just worship.
Yeah.
That's pointing your worship to something other than God. We're just finding other terms for it.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, then let's move on to the final soil, the good soil, which is a faithful heart. And so this soil is both fertile and free of weeds. It receives the seed, it nurtures it, and then it produces fruit. Jesus says, as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit. So this is the life that listens deeply, that allows the word not to just inform, but to transform. C.H. Spurgeon says, and dear friends, the spiritual sowing stands in the same relation to the spiritual word that the natural sowing occupies in the natural world. It is a most important thing that we should continually go forth to preach the gospel. And so the good soil does not keep the seed to itself. It multiplies, it bears witness, and it becomes the sower. Beautiful. So in reflection, we can come back and dig this in, but in reflection, so the parable of the sower is not merely about how the gospel is received, it's about how we hear God today. So every heart is a field, every word of Jesus is a seed. And so what kind of soil are we becoming? What have I allowed hardness to set in? Like, where have I allowed hardness to set in me? Am I growing deep roots beneath the surface? What thorns am I tolerating? Bonhoeffer said that only he who believes is obedient. And only he who is obedient believes. And so faith that hears must also act. Hearing the word is not the end, it's the beginning of a harvest. And so I'm assuming we've spent a lot of time on the negative soil. But what about this soil? What about the good ground?
It's funny because I don't think there's much more to say that we didn't already say when we were talking about the bad ground.
I know.
I mean, all the good things they come from the soil that we're talking about, the soil that rejects all of these earthly temptations and all of these earthly trials and stands firm in the Lord is the good soil. So this whole time we've been talking about flee from the poor soils and be a good soil. And that just is such a powerful message for us to remember that when we sow, when we're the sowers and we sow, our job is to sow the word, and it is the soil's job to produce. So again, there's a passive a passive piece to this, in that we can't and shouldn't look at somebody and say, I know what kind of soil you are. I can already tell what kind of soil you are. That's not the message. That's not the method. It's we scatter the seed and we let the soil grow, and we let the soil do its work. And just like any farmer, you do the best you can to plant where it needs to go. But if it's going to grow, it's ultimately not up to us. We can only do our part of the equation. And so that should free us to say, okay, I'm not the one. My message doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to cultivate the soil. All I have to do is spread the seed. And from there it goes. And then for my own personal life, I just want to be the kind of soil that continually bears fruit. I know this isn't part of the analogy or isn't part of the parable, but I think about, because we live in farm country and we understand farming, farmers rotate fields because the soils lose their nutritional value. And I've always thought of that as a secondary application of the parable of the sower is may I never be a depleted field. The Lord is bearing harvest and fruit in my life, and I see that. I see that day in, day out, but I don't want to do anything that would cause me to stunt the growth of my crop. I want to take seriously, like Bonhoeffer says, I want to take obedience seriously. I want to take drawing near to the Lord seriously, that I would continually bear the maximum amount of fruit that I'd be able to bear.
What I think is cool about even among the good soil is that the yield varies. It's 30, 60, 100-fold. All that's grace too. God doesn't compare harvest sizes. He celebrates fruitfulness no matter what. It comes from faithfulness. And that's just something amazing that we should recognize. Even though I'm different than you, I'm not as far along as you are. You're 20 years ahead of me. Whatever it is, the Lord is still celebrating that. Faithfulness, it doesn't matter how far along you are. Just keep getting better. Keep striving to be better with the Lord.
We have empathy for those who aren't in the good soil yet, because at some point in time we were all at least one of those other soils, or all three of them at the same time. And then the seed hit our heart, and now we've been made new, and we are producing fruit, hopefully, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like what you said, Bryce, in that it doesn't matter what we're yielding, because we really don't have control over that.
Right.
And I think we can get lost in so and so is yielding more than I am, or I want to be the one that yields 100-fold. I think we can get caught up in that, and that can actually become sin. Because now it's about me and being recognized and all that kind of stuff. So everything becomes a trap, and we need people around us to keep us from out of the trap, to help us. We always need to walk circumspectfully.
I think there's an inherent, I don't know if passive is the right word, but it kind of seems that way, that this is not something where, soil doesn't move to where the seed is being scattered. It's not catching seed. It literally is soil. It sits there. It receives. And I think that to compare yield is to say, I sat there and received the seed better than you did, which is silly. It's, we plant a seed, we water it, but God puts the life in the plant and grows the plant. We don't control that. And I think that the same is said for the faith. We don't decide what our yield is. It's God's will. So, don't be dumb and compare it to someone else and think that you're better or worse. It's just Don't give yourself that kind of stress.
It's not. It's not. It's just like the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the yield and the talents. I mean, the non-negotiable, the untalked about thing about Jesus is, it's just understood that we'll have different gifts, different yields. That's not a bad thing. That's not the point. If your ministry yields much or little, that's not in God's economy. It's about faithfulness. It's not about that.
I want to end this on Bonhoeffer's quote. So, only he who believes is obedient, and only he who is obedient believes. Andrew.
Father, Son, and Spirit, give us a heart to care for those in the margins, to show grace to those who are difficult, and to love all we come in contact with. Amen.
This has been Outsiders Podcast. We will see you next time.
Thanks for listening. We love you.
Bye.